So, introducing one of my favorite actors in Bollywood. Just to tell you a little bit about him, Abhay Deol made his debut in 2005 in Imtiaz Ali's Socha Na Tha. It was a film that I watched in a hall with all of two people with me. It was much loved by critics and those who had the good fortune to watch it, but it sank without a trace at the box office. Or at least I think so, right? Kind of. Fortunately for us, Abhay's career survived and has thrived. He's done films that have altered the narrative of Hindi cinema and also made money, which is a rare combination. Anurag Kashyap's Dev D told us everything we wanted to know about urban angst. Dibakar Banerjee's Oye Lucky Lucky Oye, again one of my favorite films, was a witty take on urban materialism. Zoya Akhtar's Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara made male bonding and male brooding look very beautiful. And a guilty favorite of mine, he was a dashing Mr. Knightley in the remake of Emma, Ayesha. My only quibble with him is that he doesn't do enough movies and periodically goes off to New York to learn various things. I don't know what. He'll tell us more about them. He's now turned a producer with his new film One by Two, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of that. So telling us about this and a lot more, Abhay Deol, please.
अम्मू, तैयार हो गया ना? Why aren't you ready?
क्योंकि मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड उसने मुझे छोड़ दिया। मेरी नसों में खून भी जम गया जैसे कोई लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन।
You're so boring. तुम्हारा जॉब बोरिंग है, तुम्हारी पर्सनालिटी बोरिंग है, तुम बोरिंग गाने लिखते हो और तुम्हारा नाम भी बोरिंग है।
That was this audio of my latest film.
That's the new film he's done, One by Two. He's produced and acted in it. Are they showing it again? So you want to talk a little about why you turned producer then in this age of 100, 200 and 300 crore movies?
Well, that's exactly why, because nobody wants to make the kind of films that I make, you know, and unless I cut my fee and my money and I swear to work for free and I have to take a back end, they won't make them.
But, you've worked with possibly every fine director there is in Bollywood. Anurag Kashyap, Imtiaz Ali, Dibakar Banerjee. And now with this film, I think you're working with a completely new director again, Devika Bhagat. So tell us a little about how it happened.
Well, Devika Bhagat is debuting with this film. She's a dear friend of mine. She finished 4 years of film school, NYU. I met her in Bombay. She said, oh, I've just graduated and I want to direct. And I said, no one's going to give you a job just because you graduated film school, you know. They want to know what have you done, who have you worked with, and then they'll call those people and ask them. So do something that will get you in.
Right.
So she started writing. And now she's been writing. Her first job was she co-wrote Manorama 6 Feet Under.
Which you were also in. And
yeah, that was her first job, yeah. And then over the years, she's written many a film, including Aisha. And finally, I gave her a call and I said, hey, it's time you directed. Let's do something. Someone actually wants to put money behind something I want to make.
Yeah.
And she said, sure. I had an idea. I called her home. I narrated the idea to her. She said, interesting. I have an idea also. I heard hers. And it was a really sweet idea. I said, okay, let's make yours. So she took elements of mine, and then I just sort of let her do the writing.
So you're returning to a romantic comedy, quote unquote, after a long time. You've been doing very intense movies. So is it refreshing? Are you happy to do something lighter?
I always like the darker subjects. I mean, even in comedies, I always prefer the dark comedies. But it's my first production, and I thought this would be a nice way to... You always have to sort of either throw in a big star and a good item number and a big budget, or you at least work in a safe genre. So the rom-com is a slightly safe space to be in. A studio will also embrace that more easily. We made space for songs to be there, which I always try and do in my film. So we going a slightly lighter route. But when you watch the film, it's not as light as it's seeming. It is something I think you will like. I was telling you earlier, it is a cross between Zindagi and Socha Na Tha. You know, it's a combination of the two in many ways.
So, but what is it like growing up in, I would imagine, a typical Bollywood family? I mean, I can't, I've seen the Deol house. Did you live in it, by the way?
Yeah, we did.
House, which is
Yeah.
an enormous house with, I don't know, 5 interconnecting. What is it like growing up with your uncle?
It was scary sometimes.
Did he beat you?
Oh no, he never hit me. He only hit me once because he was backing out of the garage and I ran. I was a kid, I was really small. And I ran and almost got knocked over. So he got really angry and he slapped me. Then never before that or after that has he ever. And I just pretended like nothing had happened, you know, and walked to where my mom and all were. Only there was still this red mark of fingers on my face. Yeah. And they realized that I'd been slapped. But no, he never did. We were a very I can't call it a Bollywood family only because we're in the business, I suppose it is. But they're very traditional, my parents, you know. Yeah, so he's my father's brother, yeah. And they're very traditional. We weren't allowed to go out after even, as boys even, you know, 11 or 12, at 18 was our deadline, you know. So we just weren't allowed to mingle too much. I think they tried to protect us, not realizing that while they were born in the Pind, we were born in the city, and they should have made that difference, but they tried to keep the Pind in us, I suppose.
How did you get to be like you are?
Well, after all, we were born in Bombay, so they couldn't change that, you know. And at 18, I went to study abroad, and I think I came back at 22, and I only lived with my parents for another year and a half. I've actually been on my own since then, so I suppose that had an influence on the way I am.
What exactly do you do when you go back to New York? It's a big mystery. You learn a new skill every time, or what is it?
Actually, I found this place, this art school in New York, where it was non-credited course, you know, so you didn't have to show your degree or commit to a long period of time. And I said, okay, I'm going to take a year off from work. I had just shot Oilaki, Devdi and Road Movie back to back. And I was quite, I don't know, I was just not mentally in a very good space. So I thought, okay, I don't think I can go to the mountains because I'll go crazy. I need to go to another city where nobody knows me and I don't know anyone. So New York was something I was interested in. I knew 3 people there. I knew this college would take me in. I think part of me was scared that I might not have a social life, so at least I'll have a school life. But I think my school life lasted all of 2-3 weeks because my social life was over.
By
that was the
social
punchline.
life, you mean?
You know,
Yeah.
going to museums and the library.
Oh, right. We believe that. I know you're speaking to a young audience, so you think you have to be very politically correct. No, this is a cool audience. You can tell them what you actually
I am being politically correct when I say museums and yeah.
But then coming back to Bollywood and, you know, sort of reinventing the wheel and going through it's actually quite a struggle, isn't it? No matter that you're born with a famous last name. It is.
Yeah, I mean, change is not something people take.
Yeah, in fact,
do
Monica
very
Dogra
easily.
was just speaking about it. Is she there? Yeah.
There.
She was
There she is.
talking about how difficult it is actually to change Bollywood from the inside, although everyone acknowledges that it needs change.
See, they've been working with a certain formula or a certain system in place for so many decades, you know what I mean, that they're sitting quite comfortable where they are,
Right.
the powers that be. So why would they, and this is a good pointer for all of you guys, because I don't think it's just the film industry alone, but most industries, the world that we live in today is so structured that nobody likes change. And when we're young, you know, because we're inexperienced, our ideas are still in place. You know what I mean? So we tend to push, and I think that's the beauty of youth, is that your experience is not long enough to bog you down from disappointment, and that's how you make change. So I was also, as they say, ignorance is bliss. So I was ignorant to so many things, and I just went for it. And when I think back today, if I knew then what I know now, maybe I'd be a little bit more careful, or I wouldn't believe that I could do it. But yeah, it's just something you push for because you have a certain vision in your mind, and you don't want to give up.
So, what is it that prevents change in Bollywood? You think is it being part of this particular camp or that particular group of people? Do you get more work if you do a certain kind of work, a certain kind of networking? What is it?
Well, like I said, when the powers that be are comfortable with the way things are, they don't want to change it. So they're not going to experiment. Power is also in the hands of very few. Like I think some 20 people probably control 70-80% of the funds in the entire industry. So you don't have a choice but to go to those 10-20 people, and if they don't want to do it, and you don't have that much choice. Who is? Only people from the outside. And then the industry is also such that filmmaking, it's a team effort. It's not like you're a painter and you can just pick up a canvas and just do it by yourself. And you have to collaborate with people, and then you have to. And we're in a market-driven world as well, so you have to give your film a platform. Like classic case in point, I had done this film called Manorama, 6 Feet Under, which is one of my personal favorites, and anybody who saw it loved it, but nobody came to the cinemas. Why? Well, there were 60 prints, 64 screens in the entire country, morning or afternoon shows. So if you're not, and there was almost no marketing. Nobody knew that film even released. And that's what taught me, because up until then I thought, you make a good film, they will come. Yeah. And then I realized, no, make a good film, that's one half of it. Now, let people know that this film is out there. And then, because people also are intimidated by experimentation and they suddenly land up with a product that's not Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, let's say, they will cut the trailer to make it look like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum.
And then people will come and watch it and be disappointed.
And be disappointed because they're coming in to watch a Bollywood film and this is not. And those who want something offbeat will not come in because your film looks like it's a mainstream film.
It's interesting, you talked about 60 prints for Manorama 6 Feet Under. Dhoom 3 released with 4,500 prints, just nationally, and 1,200 globally. So it's, I mean, how does a good, small little movie that you made with your heart and, your own money, how does it compete with something so stupendous?
It doesn't need to. See, I don't need to compete with the Dhoom 3 because the Dhoom 3 caters to a certain audience and they'll go watch it anyway. Manorama caters to another kind of an audience. So we don't need to compete. The problem is that you won't get a platform to release your film when a big film like that comes. You'll just, if anything, you'll get, again, morning, afternoon shows. So, and you need prime time, which you will not get. So even though you're not competitive, you still have to compete in terms of show timings, and that you will just not be allowed, because you'll be carpet bombed with what the bigger film is. And it's sad because as an audience, I think as a country we have an audience out there, a large enough one that wants it, but you're not given a choice. You will have to watch this because this is what I want you to watch.
And yet you can do a big film, supposedly big film like Zindagi, and really enjoy yourself, I think. So tell me, when you get it right with a film like that, how does it feel? Great story, great cast, good group of friends, I guess, and holiday in Spain?
It was a holiday.
So what was that like?
That was for me, Zindagi is like as mainstream as I suppose I can get, and Socha Na Tha too, I suppose you can say that. And so it like the conflict, the internal conflict that the characters have, the whole male bonding, the contemporary look at India and Indians was what I found attractive, with of course a smattering of music and beautiful locations and beautiful women.
Girl on a motorbike.
And a beautiful girl on a motorbike. You can't go without the leather, right? So it was good. I think Zoya is a fabulous director, and Excel, the company, in any case, have always thrived trying to do that middle thing, right, where it is a commercial mainstream film, but yet content perhaps is not what you would see in a commercial mainstream film, and that's what makes them special.
So does Dharmender uncle come and watch some of your movies? What does he think of them?
He loves my movies.
Yeah?
He tells me also, मुझे भी कोई director दे दे यार, introduce करवा ले, मुझे कैसे करने.
Any questions for Abhay? No? Do you want him to... yeah, tell me. Do you need a mic? I thought they'd all want you to sing and dance. And you've got to do a bit of
watch
that
my
later.
movies. Have you seen my films or not? I don't dance.
You can do Senorita. Yeah.
Where's the senorita?
Many, many. Not to worry. Yes, Monica and Abhay. Yeah. You want to ask your question?
I heard you.
He heard her. She didn't want to ask a question, just blow me a kiss. Smart.
I think she's asking now. She's
Okay.
asking one now. But your mic is off. Connected Hum Tum, the reality show. Yeah, I mean, TV is not a medium I was very keen on doing, but this show was interesting because it was about 6 women, and each of them had a camera, and they were candidly recording their lives, the most intimate moments, the most sad, happy moments. They were just showing it. And for me, I think, considering the environment today and, violence against women and the amount of rapes that are going on, I thought this will be a niche show, for sure, yes. But even if it changes 5 people from watching it, because I think we need to just give women that platform so that even men who have very closed conventional views about women can perhaps see the face behind, the object you're making her out to be, and maybe that would work. And I think that's essentially why I took it,
There was, yeah. Takes a long time to get the mic.
Thank you. Well, I'm Khushbu, and I am part of a university here with many of us. And thank you for coming, first of all,
you're welcome.
to Shillong. And it's a pleasure to be able to listen to you. Well, my question is, you spoke about Manorama and also a film like Zindagi. So, given an option to choose between a parallel cinema like Manorama or a typical blockbuster film like Zindagi, what would you prefer and why?
Parallel, sure. Not that I don't like Zindagi, I did it, and it's one of my, I'm proud of Zindagi. But just to answer your question, I'd say parallel, and that's because I'm attracted to edgier stuff, or just to raise the bar a little bit. I like, as an artist, I want to be provocative. Some of the best art is provocative, and you know what I mean. Like it's that, and also considering we are in an industry that hasn't changed for the past 30, 40 years now. I hate the whole. It's like, what I hate is, I don't hate song and dance routine. I hate that we all have to do the song and dance routine. My thing has been.
I can see Monica's very happy with that.
I'm like, fine, do the commercial film. I'd like to do a commercial film, don't get me wrong, and I've done a bit of it myself. But why do I have to do it each and every time? And I heard somebody mention, we don't want to see Priyanka play Mary Com. I said, I was the first people to say, we need a northeastern face to play Mary Com, but no one's going to invest in that, and that's the state of our industry. So that's parallel cinema. If you took a girl from the northeast for Mary Com, it would be considered a parallel film. Even though it would be the same film, they would still become a parallel film, and that's why I'd like to do parallel films.
I wanted to ask you, Abhay, there's the Khans, of course, and then there's the new guys, Ranbir and Ranveer. And then there's you and Hrithik Roshan and Farhan Akhtar. But, do you see yourself sort of sandwiched between the rising stars and the established stars who don't seem to want to give up? They're going to be 50 in a couple of years, and they seem to be getting younger and younger and playing younger and younger.
Yeah, and they'll be 50 and the girls will be 20.
The girls will be 20 soon. So, is that does that worry you sometimes, that there's so much competition and,
Competition doesn't worry me, because one thing is, I'm not very competitive in my own way. I don't like to compete. I always believe that what I can do, you can't, and what you can do, I can't. I like to give everybody their space. And which is, had I done the more mainstream and gone the Bollywood route, I would possibly be worried, because then I would be compared to the others, since I am doing what everybody else is doing. While I'd like to, the only reason why I like to step into the mainstream project is because it will support my non-mainstream project. My face and my participation in Zindagi will make a Shanghai. You know what I mean? And so I do this because I believe in it. But competition, no. It just makes me sad that, yeah, attention is always given to how much money a film makes or how it opened, and it's not given to what a film has said and how original it is.
Shanghai was a very interesting film, and you played this Tamilian IAS officer, a very manipulative and very smart one. How was that? Because you had to really learn how to speak Hindi and English Hindi with a Tamil accent.
Yeah.
That was the really difficult thing.
Yeah, like Tamil speaking Tamil with an English accent is much easier than Hindi because you also Hindi. And the problem in our country is we don't have the infrastructure of acting teachers and coaches, and modulation of the voice. And so Debakar actually found a writer, he must have been out of job writer because he was on set most of the time, who was Tamilian, who actually would sit me down and read my dialogues to me. And I would repeat them the way he said it. Then I would have to give the shot with that accent, but with emotion at the same time. Thing is, with Hindi films, we tend to stereotype people from different communities, the Mad Bawa or the funny Tamilian, and we obviously wanted to stay away from that. And at the same time, he's playing an IAS officer, and IAS officers tend to be placed outside of the state they're from. So if he'd learned Hindi, where's he learned Hindi from? So perhaps if he's been in Maharashtra, maybe he'd have a Marathi accent as opposed to a Tamilian one. So it was all those questions. Now we just wanted to keep it as subtle as possible, just a hint here and there, because that's what the director wanted, and that's what made sense.
So that's really the kind of challenge you enjoy. I mean, getting your teeth into a role like that.
Yeah, it's fun when you have to work on superficial stuff like, body language should be a certain way, or you're a wounded soldier, or you're wounded, or your accent is certainly some type. That requires some work, but it's fun when you get it right.
As opposed to just gelling your hair and putting on a leather jacket and riding a cool bike.
That would be fun too.
Actually, yeah, it could be fun. Okay, Beena Lakshmi. And then I'm going to ask for volunteers who will come and dance the Senorita song with Abhay.
What about my whole parallel thing?
No, Senorita is fun too. You want to sing emotional Atyachar? You're most welcome.
Fine, I could do that.
I know a lot of people actually who probably know the words to that song here.
I sing Anantara from Lucky, Emotional and Senorita.
Very good. Excellent. You're being a real sport.
You in Ranjana.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And you were awesome.
Oh, thank you.
There are actually leaders like that even now.
Yeah?
Of the finances. 20 people in Bollywood control 70% of the finance. Before Monica was here, she said no one would put the Northeastern face on the cover of some of the major magazines. How do you break that? How can you become, because again India Today did that fantastic story a few months back of how 100 political families control Indian politics.
Yes.
How are you going to become...
Thank you.
Yes. How do you break that? Because it's got to change. It cannot be feudalistic control by a few groups of people.
It's got to change, I agree with you. It's not... honestly, there's not going to be one easy answer for you. I can only sort of break the environment that we live in. So, for example, the tentpole Bollywood film, whether you take Adhum 3 has come out right now, or you have Boss, Rowdy Rathod, all these films. When these films do well, they make the filmmakers think, okay, people want the over-the-top action, item number stars. So forget considering originality, forget considering a Northeastern face. They don't even consider originality. You know what I mean? I think that, so maybe when they start thinking slightly originally, they will also start experimenting with people from different diverse backgrounds. I my question about Mary Kom was, well, you know, you're going to put makeup on Priyanka. And Priyanka's a fantastic actor, don't get me wrong. And it's not really her fault. I mean, she's going to do a role because it's offered to her. But she will bring in the money. You see, it's a money-driven economy. Now, I'm sure maybe the filmmakers would like to have a northeastern face, but no one will come and invest in that film because they probably want to have it scale, they want it large, and for that, they want to have some security, and the only way to get security is to put up a star in there because the public will come and watch it for the star. She probably is, I wouldn't be surprised. But, so there's a lot of that. You know what the sad thing is, and it's not just Bollywood, it could be Hollywood also. And it's not just films. It could be any of the big corporates also. We live in a monetary system. You see, within a monetary system, you'll always have a struggle. You know, I find it ironic that people want to, you know, they think you can fight poverty within monetary system. No, the very presence of money creates poverty. You can't have poverty without money. You see what I mean? Because some have a lot and some don't, then you can make that discrepancy. What if there was no money, who's going to be poor and who's going to be rich, right? Similarly with ideas in films, it's the same thing. When money dictates, there's only so much you can do.
When you speak like this sometimes to the bigger producers or directors, do they sometimes think that you're just being arrogant and we really don't have time to, you know, sort of talk to someone like that, and it's so much easier to go with a guy who will just, you know, roll over.
Take your shirt off and show me a six-pack.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was, I don't know, I think at some point I thought people find me, I was standoffish or a little arrogant, I think. Not because of the way I speak, but because I chose not to follow the norm. At least when you're starting out, follow the norm, you know. I mean, I know there are really good actors out there today who are experimenting. They did the smart thing. They went, they did the norm, and then they started experimenting, which is what I should have done, which is what most people do. But I, from the beginning, said I don't want to do the norm. I just want to start with the no one's experimenting anyway, so let's see. And I think that kind of gave the image that I wouldn't work with the powers that be. And then I talk like this. So then, yeah. So I have to say that I want to work with you. I want to do mainstream. Don't get me wrong, because that's my bread and butter. You know.
Did you have to make a few calls at some point, and did you want to do it, or?
I want to do it, but I can't make calls. You know.
So.
That's my family's fault. They like that. They imbibe that in me.
Great. So yeah, one last question, and then he's got to do again. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's not working, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Abe. Welcome to Shillong. In fact, to Northeast. I'm Sanjay Aditya Singh. First of all, I'm a big fan of yours. Like, I'm not a single movie we have, not watched. So one thing I want to know that you are a family of such a larger than life characters: Dharmendra, Sunny Deol, Bobby Deol, debuts Barsat, and you come from the same family, and so natural you are. So natural, so pure. And we touch, like, just we're talking, my HR, like, the favorite actor for me is Salman, and next is you. Like, for me, it's you, and then it's Salman. So,
wow.
Like, how much connections you have with us, like, you don't know, like, I think you may not be knowing it. But how can you be so natural, That is what, coming from that kind of...
You sound half in love with him.
No.
Getting worried.
No, like, coming
his
not from...
partner should get worried.
Exactly what, no, he's something like coming from some
I get it,
acting
I get
school,
it.
and,
Let him... He's
like
pouring
contemporary
his heart
acting
out.
school, and, from stage, and when you come up and do something, things like that. But, you have come from such family, and you were still so composed, so natural. So how did it came to in your mind,
Okay.
That's what.
I think let him answer now.
Thanks. I mean, never judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? It's the biggest mistake people make. So just because I'm from a film family, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll be filmy. Just like, someone from a rich family is necessarily going to be spoilt. You know what I mean? So I think it's a lot of that. Then, of course, growing up in an urban environment, That I went abroad to study. I don't know. I think travel really opened up my mind. It took me out of my comfort zone. I was very pampered when I was growing up, and
In the sense that
we're a joint family, and you have house help, and everything's made for you. It's cleaned for you, cooked for you, and suddenly you find yourself in university, and you have to clean, and you have to cook, and you have to get a job because you need that extra money. I couldn't work outside of the campus, so I used to make phone calls for people who were inquiring about getting into the college and tell them a little bit about the school, so to speak. But I think that opened up a little bit of my world, at least the pampered part of it. But the rest, I'll have you know, my family, they're very simple people at heart. They're extremely simple. In fact, I think the city and the industry shut them up a little bit more. They started to cling on to the values more, religiously almost, because they didn't want their children not to forget where they actually come from. And I think that has a huge part to play in it. So I connect to the guy from the small town because of my family.
But when you say filmy family, what does it actually mean? Do people dress in white with white shoes, wear lots of perfume, and drink themselves to death every evening? Is that what filmy is?
All that,
about?
but it's a Versace shirt. It won't be a
Okay.
white.
And the shoes?
Probably Prada or something.
Okay.
No, filmy, I think they mean, like affected, arrogant. I suppose so, but I mean, I didn't grow up with a lot of filmy kids. But
You were not part of the birthday.
no, I
circle?
wasn't. I mean, at home we were told, no, you don't go to filmy people's houses for their parties.
Okay.
I'm like, we're filmy. Like, I didn't, what? And now I realize what it was. I think it was, like I was saying, it was a protectionist measure. They were just trying to hold us back from
Right.
becoming too urban, perhaps. For them, it must have been a shock because they came later into the urban environment. So we just grew up very normal, joint family. So 7 of us in one house.
With all those bridges.
Have you seen The Sound of Music?
Yes.
Yeah, we were
So it
with
was
the
like
Von
that.
Traps of Jew or something. It was fun.
Great. So I think you've got to sing now. I'll move out of the way. Who wants to dance to these 3 songs with Abhay? Lots of people. Come. Monica, you want to come here as well?
She's the singer.
Yeah. Both of you can
I
sing.
can just
Come,
sing
come.
it.
Come.
She doesn't know the words to these.
Of course she does. I'm sure she does. You want to get? I think you have to come down. Otherwise,
I can't believe you're actually making me do this. So do I come down or what? I have to remember it also. I said I was singing 3 verses, careful. So you Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, how are you? You all know the names? Oh, with the music. I think can we have the music off 1 minute? Yeah, you know that song. No, I was gonna mix 3 verses. You won't have the songs to that, will you? You know, Oi Lucky Lucky Oi? Yes. You'll follow me? Yeah. Okay. Wait, do we have another mic?
Yeah, there are many mics.
You'll have to try and follow me then. Even if I don't remember the words, I'll try mostly. Here. Yellow. What is that? Why don't you come in? All right. I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. ABCD ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ, LCD ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ, ਲਾਲ ਮਰਕਰੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ, ਲਾਲ ਕਿਲਾ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ, ਆ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਉਹ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਉਹ ਡਿਸ਼ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਫਟ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਉਹ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, 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 ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। तौबा तेरा जलवा, तौबा तेरा प्यार, तेरा इमोशनल अत्याचार।
तौबा तेरा जलवा, तौबा तेरा प्यार, तेरा इमोशनल अत्याचार।
बोल बोल why did you ditch me, जिंदगी भी ले लिया किल मी, बोल बोल why did you ditch me, बोल बोल why did you ditch me, जिंदगी भी ले लिया किल मी। जाओ पिया, जाओ पिया, जाओ पिया, मुझको बाहों में तुम घेरो,
समझी ना सेन्योरिटा,
आओ पास तुम मेरे, मुझसे अब नजर ना फेरो, समझी ना सेन्योरिटा। थैंक यू।
चाहत के जो
No, I don't dance, you know that. You come and dance up on stage.
Can you quickly have the song?
Viaje
Woo! Come on, everyone!
tierra y no te encontré y llegas hoy tan de repente y das sentido a toda mi vida con tu querer.
ना मैं समझा ना मैं जाना जो भी तुमने मुझसे कहा है सेन्योरिटा, मगर फिर भी न जाने क्यों मुझे सुन के अच्छा लगा है सेन्योरिटा।
Pero. Thanks, guys. I can't do this.
Thank you so much, Abhay. Thank you so much. Yeah? Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.